Connie doesn't know that Fiona and me do it in my van every Sunday.
Good morning, YouTube subscribers, all 149 of you. Powers of 10 issue number 5. Look at that variant cover though. Valerio Shaiti. Ah, bella. He's drawing Iron Man if you're interested. I love how he got even the Gambit that was possessed by Apocalypse. He got enhanced by Apocalypse, and then it turns out he was playing Apocalypse. Stupid story from the early 2000s. At least it was recognized though. The book was okay. Probably the second least favorite of my Powers of Tenses. This book, it feels like it's not for the story. The reason that we have this comic instead of just weeks of this comic is because Jay Hickey had his own plan. That's my nickname for Hickman. He got his plan, he pitched it, and they said, wait, what's this part where you say we got to shut down every X-Men book? We can't do that. That's so much money. And he goes, okay, how about I do 2 series? And I'll tell the stories. Some stories that belong in House of X, like in the first Powers of 10, Mystique, Destiny. It was Mystique, not Sabretooth, Toad. Them dudes coming back with the data. That could have easily been a House of X. This going to 6 issues is this is the issue where it feels like it's being stretched. And the future stuff happened, which I'll get to at the end of my review. Begins in year number 1 with Forge. At this point, the X-Men have been formed. He's chilling in Florida, Dallas, Texas, Fort Worth, talking to Forge about, yo, you need to help me with this stuff. I need this thing, hypothetically. What if I could get you this power source? Because he knows that there is the Shi'ar power source orbiting right outside. Probably because Moira had 10 lives and he's got the knowledge of it. He asks him to get this shit done. Even asks him to answer his own question. Like, you know exactly whether I want it to be recreated or not. I also need 5 backups for these minds to stay in. 3 of them are backups, and then 1 is actually like a super backup where it takes them a whole year. All that shit, I'm sure, will mean something in a future book. And I'm sure in that future book, they'll also tell me, now remember, he's going to be offline for 3 days. So it's like information I don't think I need to remember. But it's there. It's there. Let's look out for it. The ending of this conversation, there's this picture over here where I truly strongly believe that Professor X used his powers on Forge. No question about that. That's what that smile means. That is deceit in its natural form. And by the way, the artwork happening in this page is worth recognizing, the fishes and everything underneath. The next page is this white exposition page. Let's look at this note. It is possible for a telepathic operator to replace their own mind with the previous legacy version, but doing so is incredibly difficult and would most likely require a skilled and experienced operator. Professor X has done this twice. I'll tell you each of those times. The first time, I believe, is this story. He's going to end this mind wiping himself and giving him a former past version of his brain. That's why everything we've read in X-Men has never mentioned the Moira reincarnation jutsu. That's the first time he's tried this move. The second time is an answer we will never get until Jonathan Hickman needs to press that button for emergency. He needs that just in case of emergency break glass to retcon something. That's what that's there for. We'll never get an answer to it if Hickey does his job, but if he ever needs to, okay, there was 2 times where Professor X erased his mind. Yeah, why didn't he know about this? Because legacy remembering jutsu. That's what they're going to use. Let's continue with the review. I'm just calling it out right now. Okay, here's my favorite part. The talk with Emma Frost, where she's breaking down what happened in Genosha. Here's a recap of what happened in Genosha. 16 million mutants died. She's asking the questions that we're asking. The reader's been asking this question. Now, she got a satisfying answer. I wasn't satisfied with it, but to see Emma Frost satisfied with it calms me down, reassures me, and says, okay, yeah, it's worth it. Because she said it's worth doing. And she was there on that, teaching on that school. Emma Frost, man, as evil as she actually is, she's kind of a nice person. Now, the last thing that Rosenberg did was he put Emma in charge of the Black King. What's it called? The Hellion, not the Hellions. It'll get to me. The Hellfire Club. She made her in charge of that, and Sebastian Shaw's gone. Now Sebastian Shaw's back. That's what they want from her. and they said you're going to be on this council with him. And she is not easy to bargain with. By the way, look at the artwork happening here. This is cool how they switched it up and gave us these silhouettes in this page. But she is not easy to bargain with. She says, make that, we're going to have 3 members on this council. Let's play. Who is that 3rd member? We can figure that Cyclops is going to be on that council. Whether Scotty knows or not, Scotty doesn't know. But he'll be on that council. Figure Storm's going to be down there. Possibly Jean. Kitty Pryde was a leader. Easy. Wolverine's not about the politics, but he possibly could take a position there. Henry McCoy is a smart dude. Apocalypse, possibly? Nah, not Apocalypse. Magneto and Chuck are in there. Understood. But who she will want might be Mystique. The way Rosenberg wrote her, she also had the Cerebro helmet thing happening too. And she had Mystique alongside her. I think that we are recognizing the most recent run of Uncanny X-Men. And this is no longer in my head what I thought this would be a parallel universe or one of Moira's lives. I actually think now that the present in these 2 books are actually happening in the present of Marvel. That being said, she's probably going to choose Mystique or someone to be a wedge with Jean and Scott if she's spiteful like that. Wonder who it could be. But that's what I'm going with. No. The reason they need Sebastian Shaw is the wokest fucking reason in the history of comic books. Jonathan Hickman. So, you know how drugs, maybe you don't, in the real world, there's a black market, there is a, what's the opposite of black market? The market. And in charge, much like Star Wars, there's the Supreme Chancellor, and there's a Sith Lord. And it's the same fucking person. And in this case, he's going to create his own black market for the drug. So they need someone convincing. Sebastian Shaw will be the distributor, and they'll make their money that way and this way. That is parallel to Earth 617, like us. That's how it goes down here. Hickman knows this, and he put this in a comic book. He's putting, he went woke. That's what I'm trying to get at. Love it. Let's continue with the review. Let's talk about the part with Namor. He was only in there for 2 pages. Artwork again, did good. And he says, nah, I can't join. I don't have the same senior editor as you do. Invaders is actually run by not Jordan D. White. That's what he said, actually. Fine, it was nice for them to mention it. But too bad. Maybe Namor will join us. There were some seeds. If the Marauders are actually pirates, the Marauders book coming out next month, then surely they'll have their run-in with the Prince of Atlantis, the King of Atlantis. And I thought his reasoning was so solid, so well written. The way that Hickman said what he said. Here's what he actually said. Do I strike you as someone who's just now realized how much better I am than everyone else? Yeah, bro. That's exactly what Namor would say. He's not a wishy-washy person. Yeah, it's great for you guys to have come out the shell in the bubble that you've been living in about being hated and feared. But he's like, nah, I don't need this. And I actually thought that he was going to make himself out to be the mutant. Yeah, you guys hate and fear me. I know what that's like. F off. I thought that's where he was going to go, but he didn't go there. The next part of the comic book is the downfall. Powers of 10. Let me take you back to the first Powers of 10. Issue number 1 had this. This is how it began. These 3 faces are Professor X, and then there's a Nimrod. I'm predicting that's who the librarian is, and that's how they're going to make this make sense, because so far it's been a waste of pages on every Powers of 10. Everything happening year 1000 wasn't for me. They want to assimilate, they want to get further, and machines, and they did it again in this comic with that white page where they said, here's a hive mind, and here's an even overmind, and an even bigger mind. It's things I truly don't care for. Good luck making this make sense. I know that Powers of 10-6 is a red highlighted issue. So far, the 2 red highlighted issues were the 2 best right now, but those were House of X's. I don't know what they're doing with Powers of 10. I'm iffy on it. We'll see if they can finish up the story properly. I hope most of that Powers of 10 takes place in this timeline and not year 1000, because I have no idea. I don't care about universes and about how dark holes, black holes, are just knowledge, and knowledge squeezed into it so small that it compresses. Because that won't happen. Because every comic book happening is not going to stop. Like we're not going to get a black hole. Sorry, I'm calling it dark hole. We're not going to get that in this comic book series or any comic book series because that would cease the universe, and that's not happening anytime soon. So even the threat that they are presenting is an unrealistic one, which I don't. It's kind of like death. Anytime somebody dies, it's unrealistic. Especially when 5 characters die in the same book. It doesn't hold any water with me because I know it's not a consequence. It's not consequential. So this whole black hole shit and everything else that they were talking about in the future year 1000 story, in for me. The final page I found was a dud. Seeing this with the floating Nimrod saying, and leaving no living thing behind. Yeah, okay, it'll be a whole universe with just machines and not humans. So that's what machines do, right? That's always the threat. Nothing new. As far as the comic goes, even though I'm considering it bad. No, I'm gonna say it's just in the middle, man. This is like a 5 out of 10 comic for me. Didn't do it for me. Cover was hella fire, but this is them charging us $4.99. This is them adding white pages and stretching a story, and it was very apparent now that this wasn't meant to go 12, but they stopped every X-Men book and money needed to be made. The next 2 comics in this series are promising to be good because it's House of X 6, and then it's the red underline Powers of 10, so I'm glad about that. Thank you for watching the review. I've been growing like crazy with this series, so I love Jonathan Hickman for it, RB Silva, Marty Garcia, and Pepe Larraz. You guys are my people. If you want to be my people, all you gotta do is click on that thing that just spawned, because I am a great reviewer. I communicate, enumerate, elucidate, exaggerate, indicate, explicate, bloviate, and overstate, and hyperventilate.